Now I made a change from when I stopped last time I put Locke back in the party. I was originally going to take Shadow, but I think I actually want Locke because of the steals and some other things. So I will probably just ignore Shadow at this point. He's really good in Zozo, and then he leaves, so not that useful after that, but for the moment I'm going to just go ahead with a pretty standard party. I've picked all these guys for a particular reason once I actually get to Zozo, but they're a solid party otherwise. The only thing they're really lacking is they don't have Cure, which the only way to get that is Celeste. But she's the only one right now who can AoE Cure, which is actually pretty useful at this point. It will be less useful once the Espers are actually acquired, because then Locke will have it, Cyan will have it. But until then, it is pretty handy. Cyan's hitting pretty hard with his katana there. That's in part because the katanas are all two-handed and get the gauntlet effect, but he also has very high base vigor. Again, he hasn't raised any of it yet because we don't have any Espers. We can't Esper level him or anything. So he's hitting pretty hard for his level. These are all, again, the same monsters that were outside at the beginning of the game, so they're all pretty easy. So at this point, just because I have the equipment and everybody's level 10, I can just mash fight here. But once I actually go to the west part, I'm probably not going to want to do that anymore. Now, one neat thing I like about the game is there's this part where if you bring Sabin and Edgar to Figaro Castle, Sabin will run off for a while, and then if you rest, you'll get a story scene between the two of them. And it's really neat, and it doesn't really mean anything or do anything. You don't get any advantages from it. It doesn't give you any items or anything, but it's just cool because it's there for no reason, and it gives a lot of insight into character development. It's something that really doesn't happen a lot in the game, or a lot in the series in general, but it's really nice. Okay, so the number one thing is there's a drill here. I cannot buy it because I don't have enough money. Let's see if there's anything that I can sell. I can sell Shuriken. I'll eventually probably be buying more of those, though. Smoke bombs are too cheap to be worth it. Let's see. Probably sell the hard leather. I don't think we'll ever need those again. Everybody else has something more useful. The leather hats are also pretty useless. I'm not really using the Iron Shield because of the speed penalty, so we'll get rid of that. I'm not selling the mithril items because those are all actually pretty useful, just for trading for random junk later. So we're still a couple hundred short. Elixirs are not worth anything. Tinctures, maybe. Let's see if there's anything worth selling. Let's see, I would need... Okay, we'll sell 3 tinctures and buy the drill. The drill is Edgar's first single target. Physical damage, ignores defense, sets sap. So that's really nice. It does have the row penalty now. It originally didn't, which meant that Edgar could basically just sit in the back row all day and do whatever he wanted. Now it does have a row penalty, so I will probably only be using that to set sap. Actually, you know what? I'm not really in a position where it's such a big deal that I couldn't just set Edgar in the front. He's got a lot of health. So no money, but we're fine. Now you can skip the Edgar Sabin scene, which I'm going to do because I've seen it a million times and I don't care. You just try to leave and Sabin will come back. I'm not sure when it stops giving you the chance to see that scene. Likewise, if you go into Culligan, you can trigger Locke's flashback. I'm not going to do that either. You can recruit Shadow here, but if the party's full, he doesn't want to. Now, if you leave him, you can recruit him for after Zozo, but since he leaves during the opera and won't fight Ultros with you, it's completely useless. You will basically screw yourself doing that. Which is funny. It's funny that the game allows you to basically screw yourself by trying to bring Shadow to the opera. If you were blind, you would have no reason to suspect that you couldn't do that, since you can go and hire him, but he will ditch you. He also ditches you if you go into Narsh, which means if you have a party with just Gao and Shadow, and you leap Gao on the Veld, and then take Shadow back to Narsh, he will leave the party, at which point the game soft locks because you now no longer have anyone in the party. Okay, there's actually some good stuff here. The Targe is the next shield. I think it's the next, like, regular old shield that doesn't have a huge speed penalty. There's Butterflies, which we already have 2 of. I got an extra for Locke. And Poison Claws, which I actually want 2 of these, but I don't have any money right now. So I'm gonna have to earn that. But that's okay. I need 3K, and I just don't have that right now. I might have maybe not needed to buy the drill, but I do like having it. Let's see how much these guys give, if any. $500. That's not bad. Probably mess with that for a bit. I want 2 Poison Claws if I can get them, because the Poison Claw does poison damage, obviously, and can cast poison, and humans are weak to poison, and Zozo is full of humans, so that's basically the logic there. However, I don't want to sell the Spirit Claws, because the Spirit Claws are also useful. One of the things about Sabin is that his claws, it's not like Final Fantasy IV, where Yang's claws literally gave him no attack power, but there is a difference in attack power and stats between the claws, but it's not so huge that Sabin can't make up the difference when he's doing something like, oh, you're berserking Edgar. Well, your funeral. Attack him. Kill the wasp, and then I can kill him. Oh, okay. Or not. Let's give this a try. It's 50-50. Come on, Cyan. Got him! Now you notice that Edgar has the Dragoon seal equipped, so he should be jumping, but when he's berserked, he doesn't do that. So, something to note if you're trying to use spears. They don't work with berserk. Okay, I just need 1,000 more. The Spirit Claws also proc stop, which can be useful if you're into that. Now, I can't use the Bioblaster here because the Fossil Fang is undead, so it would be healed by poison. Let's see if Cyan takes the right target. Again! Nice work, dude. And Edgar misses. Good job. Okay. That should be enough. And I'll make some more gil as I'm going through to get to the next areas, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, I basically don't sell... If you have 2 of Sabin's Claws, don't sell them. Because other than the Mithril Claws, which they don't have any elemental bonuses. Which, even then, I guess you could keep them just in case you don't want to hit any elements. I can't imagine a circumstance where you would want to do that, but that's something. Now I'm in a bit of a bind where I could get free rest in Figaro, but then I would have to watch that cutscene, so I guess we'll just heal. I could also go up and talk to the guy at the arena, but I'm going to be going up there after Zozo anyway. For a particular reason. Against things that can be confused, the Noise Blaster is really good. Especially if Edgar's in a situation where he can't kill the enemy party. A lot of times they can be confused instead. So we're getting good money now that we're out here. So the money problems that were existent, to such extent as they were, not going to be as much of a problem now. Strictly because we're getting more money and we've made a lot of the large purchases. The tools are a huge purchase outlay, and I've got them now, so that's not going to be an issue. So that pretty much just leaves weapon and armor upgrades. And if you did recruit Shadow, once you get to Jador, you can buy scrolls, which they're kind of expensive for this point in the game. They eventually get very cheap, but they're extremely effective. I think the water scroll is the best for Zozo. There's a lot of enemies there that are weak to water. Though there are also a few enemies that counter throw, so that's something to keep in mind. Although usually they'll counter it after they're dead, because he'll kill them instantly with a scroll or something. Because the scrolls are extremely high power, at least for this stage in the game. But only Shadow can use them right now, so... And I wouldn't have the money for them anyway. Suplex sets slow and muddle, so it confused him, and then he attacked and killed an ally, so... Cyan also good target prioritization there. Left the confused guy confused. And I believe Suplex, basically, if it correctly muddles him, he sometimes will actually end up getting it muddled anyway. Cyan's 4th Bushido is the 4-hit that doesn't ignore defense. It also sets confusion, so it's pretty good too. These fights would be a lot easier if Sabin were level 12, because I think that's when he gets his Fire Dance, which is his area of effect attack. I could use the Bioblaster in this fight, because despite the appearance, the Mandrakes are not immune to poison, but I believe they counter poison. If someone is poisoned, then I think they do something else. I can't remember what exactly they do. See, they're not immune to poison, but they don't like when people in the combat party are poisoned. I can't tell if it's your party or their party, but they don't like poison. I checked the script, dude. I think they don't like poison somehow, or they change their target prioritization if somebody is poisoned. I don't know. They do something. It's not a counter. It's just they don't like something. It may be if one of your guys is poisoned, they won't try to poison it. I don't know exactly. Also, they use Bio. I think it might use Bio if it's the last enemy alive. I'm not sure. There are a number of triggers where if an enemy is the last one alive, they'll use a potentially more powerful attack. Like there, he countered Fight, and I guess he was using Bio. That could have been just random luck, though. Probably don't even need to full heal Cyan, because he can just empower himself. I also don't need to spend antidotes if I can just juggle relics, but that's a waste of time. One noteworthy thing about the armor shop here, you can get the tiaras, which you could steal one of those from Kafka, so it's not like you're missing much. It saves you 2,500 gold, and it's not bad, so it's not the worst thing. You can also get a white dress here for Terra and Celeste, and you can get ninja gear, which is, I believe, an upgrade for most people who can use it. I can only afford one, but that's okay. Let's see who needs it more. Probably Locke. Yeah, because I think Saban's evade is... Well, Saban's evade's not very good because he doesn't have the bonuses there. Locke could get more evade, but I think Locke will have good reason to use that pretty soon. So this would be a good point to do guild grinding, but I have no need to do that because after Zozo I'm going to be able to grind up Esper Levels. So I'll probably get money from that, so there's no reason to do that now. You can also buy a brush here for Realm. This is a completely pointless purchase to make at this point in the game. I guess maybe it could be useful if you buy it before the Crescent Island segment to give to her during that, but there's like no bosses that you fight with Realm really, other than finishing Ultros. So it's kind of pointless. But you can get it, so there's something. The auction house is now closed. You can no longer use it at all. It doesn't open later, it's strictly gone. The Espers that would otherwise be sold there are given to you or sold to you by the guy at the Coliseum, which is another reason to get Gil, because you're going to need the Gil. There are also some really good accessories here that I, of course, can't afford. White Capes, which I think I've already bought one and found one. Hyper Wrist, which I believe is innate Berserk, which seems stupid, but it's actually really good sometimes, especially for random fights if you have a Vigor-focused character who's just going to attack anyway. The Stat Stick adds a number of things to all of your stats and a small boost to HP and MP. It's actually an incredibly good buy, but it's quite expensive and I don't have the money for it right now. I don't think I need it, but if you do have the money, they're good to buy before Zozo. I think I already have an Odachi, unless it's a different thing that he has. No, the Kotetsu. Which I think I want to keep the Kotetsu anyway, because while the Nodachi is, I think, stronger, the Kotetsu has the counter property, I think. Let me see, just to double check that. Yeah, the Kotetsu counters the Nodachi, I think, is a kill, so... And you can also buy shadow stuff here, so the Wave Scroll, Water, Fire, and Bolt. Expensive for right now, but pretty good. Shuriken are cheap and good. The Kunai is a dagger. It's one of his weaker daggers, but it can be thrown. You can throw daggers. You can't throw all weapons anymore, just Shuriken and I think scrolls and daggers. You usually don't want to throw regular daggers, but you can throw things like the Butterfly for, I think they fixed it where you can actually get the anti-human damage from it. And the Kunai is apparently slightly stronger as a single target versus the Shuriken is against one target. The Shuriken, though, you can free target it and hit in the entire enemy group. The daggers you can only hit one target with. And the scrolls, by default, they hit all targets, except the Smoke Bomb, which hits one ally. The Smoke Bombs are also really good. There's certainly a reason to take Shadow, but I can't afford to have like a huge stock of them right now, so I'm not going to bother. If you wanted, you could also get a Chocobo to go to Zozo. Let me see how expensive that is. 250? You know what? Why not? I'm also getting the tutorial for this because this is actually the first time I've ever gotten on a Chocobo. You're given one automatically after the Figaro Castle sequence, but it doesn't count as renting one, you're just put on one. And the only reason to do this is just to skip random encounters on the way to Zozo, just to preserve your health some. Or your resources. Zozo is fairly tough, so I certainly don't want to run out of resources there. Is everybody equipped properly? Yeah, anti-human stuff, counter stuff, and poison, so we're in good shape there. And this is the first enemy, the Gygus. He actually has an interesting item. Whether I will get it is another matter. That's the common steel as a Phoenix down. The rare steel is a more mysterious item, but unfortunately... And he just wants to kill Sabin, so... Fortunately I have experience off, so I'm not going to fret about this. Although I think he can be dangerous if his health is too low. Yeah, he'll use Magnitude. I think either if his health is too low, or if he's about to die, or whatever. Just... Could be, though, that he only counters a specific thing, but I think it's critical health or something, I don't know. Again, not a huge problem. I bought a ton of resources for this very reason. I think there's slightly different encounters on the inside versus the outside as well. So you can see Sabin just completely wrecks that one guy. This guy uses Acid Rain, which is a very powerful area of effect. These fights are kind of not worth it, but you can steal from everybody, so that's fun. Since they're pretty much all human, and human enemies are the ones that you can steal from. So. And there are a few, not unique items, but neat items that you can steal starting here, so whether we'll get any is another matter. The meth lab? You mean the place with all the stuff? Okay, there's a good example. You can steal butterflies from the hobos, which, if you're bringing Shadow, he can throw those, which is fantastic. That's actually the good target there. Slam Dancers cast... Yeah, I stole all the tinctures. So I stole a butterfly, which if you brought Shadow, he can throw those, which is neat. The Slam Dancers counter fight and throw, and they also don't like being the last ones alive, I think. So they don't counter Cyan, so Cyan hitting that one with Dispatch was perfect, because that kills her instantly and is exactly what we do want. Okay, that chest, I think it used to in vanilla have the Thief Glove, now it's the Switchblade. There's a reason for that in terms of the Switchblade and all that. The Switchblade is more powerful, adds a ton of speed, decent evade, and it also randomly steals. Or I think it actually always steals, I can't remember. So it's basically like having Mug, but it's not Mug. Regardless, there's a reason why that's there instead of something else. Now the Junkies, they're dangerous because they will cast Step Mine, but I think they only do that if they've used Clear on themselves already. Because if they're not invisible, they will try to make themselves invisible. But because the Bioblaster is considered a magical attack, it hits them regardless of whether they're invisible or not. But it can be a problem if you didn't bring Edgar, or you don't have somebody who can hit with magical type attacks, or always hits attacks. The good news is that you have plenty of people who can do that. Gao can use Wild Rat to hit them with Poison or Bio. Celeste can just cast Ice on them, so if you want to keep them from being invisible, you just have to hit them with any magic. Cursor follows the suplex, because of course it does. Tonics from the Slam Dancers, that's pretty nice. Might actually be a good spot to farm them, because they are kind of expensive at this point. I don't know if the Hobo... Does the Hobo counter tools, or was that just... No, I don't know what that was. Let me see. Yeah, they do counter tools. The Hobo counters tools and magic, so I have to be careful with Edgar. Because Acid Rain hits the whole party, and that's a definite resource drain. I came in here with about 80 dried meat, and I'm down to 58, so... Pretty rough. Now, I can't remember if the clock is the same, like the exact same time, or if that got changed. There's also a treasure over here, frequently overlooked. In this case, just money, so it's not a big deal, but... Are butterflies the common steal from those guys? Because that's really nice. Maybe I shouldn't have even bought one extra. Okay. Sabin killed that guy, so he's not going to counter Bioblaster. There we go. I can't remember if there's any more treasure over here. I might as well check. Yikes, that's strong. But Sabin's getting the counter, so that's good. And again, as long as I kill these guys before their next turn, I think I'm okay. Yeah, Sabin can't hit them because they're invisible. I think originally, in the very original game, like Vanilla, Bushido and Blitz could never miss. I'm not sure if that's completely accurate, but they definitely can miss now if people are invisible, although Clear may have always done that. And they also can miss if they're blind. So blind actually does something now. And in fact, blind is very dangerous to this particular party, because they're all pretty much physical fighters other than Edgar having access to the Bioblaster. See, they cast Clear on an ally. Now I'm kind of stuck, because I know he's going to probably Acid Rain me if I do this. But I don't really have a choice, because I don't have any other way to hit him. So that Acid Rain is probably going to get cast, probably going to kill Locke. Yeah. But they decided to use Clear on their ally instead of themselves. I think it's like they target a random ally. Empower is magical, really? I thought it was physical. It's magic-based? Really? Or does it just count as magic? Okay. Yeah, it's still 6, 10, 50, it's just in Roman numerals now. And there's the Thief Glove. This used to be the chainsaw. You no longer get the chainsaw in the World of Balance at all. So, it's much, you know, it's still Edgar's strongest tool, and it's really even better now, but still. That's why I wanted to bring Locke in addition to a couple of other things. The Thief Glove is a huge booster for Locke, in addition to literally being a physical booster. It increases his vigor, his speed, his evade, and gives him Mug, which is, again, just steal with a physical attack. Mug has some weird properties where it, like, ignores certain item effects. I don't know if it ignores things like the anti-human property. I guess I can just try it. Oh, I got Acid Rain just at random. That sucks. Yeah, I think it doesn't keep the anti-human property, so... I can just Bioblaster them now. Yeah, when you use Mug, it seems like weapon special effects are never transferred over. That's something that was always the case. It worked that way in Vanilla as well. Like, if you were to use the Atma weapon, it would ignore the special formula and the health thing, I think. It might even work Vigor-based, because I think now it's Stamina-based. I'm not sure how that works now. But regardless, that's usually bad, in the sense that you usually don't want that, but it can be useful in a few instances where you actually don't want the weapon special property to work. And it's really not even necessary to do that, because Locke already has the Switchblade, so he's going to be stealing anyhow. But he does get 2 chances to steal with any given weapon. In fact, I'm almost tempted to take the Switchblade off, but I won't, because it does give him speed, and At this early stage in the game, the fact that Locke can go first a lot is kind of a godsend, because if we can take out an enemy before it gets to act on us, that's really great. Look how fast Locke is relative to everybody else. Let's see. Okay, she... Oh wait, does she counterfight? She might counterfight. Hopefully Mug kills her. Nope. Actually, no, they'll counter tools. But wait, can I use that to my advantage? I don't know. Let's find out! Yeah, she counters fight, so I shouldn't have had Sabin attack her. With any luck, it's not an issue. Okay, I guess he didn't counter it that time. Either that or being confused prevented him from countering it. I don't know. Whatever the case, he didn't Acid-Rain us again, so... Thank goodness. Yeah, now the problem here is that if I had Red Bulls that would heal 250 health, that would make the boss fight a lot easier, just because I'm going to be having some trouble with that, potentially. One thing I want to test is... She counters Fight, but she doesn't counter Mug. Yeah, Mug is considered a separate command from Fight. That's another... And it's also considered a separate command from Steel, actually, I think. They're considered completely different things. So, there is an edge case use for this, which is... Oh, thanks, I guess. If you confuse, like with the Noise Blaster, all the junkies, in theory they can actually start setting clear on your whole party, and you might think that's great, because, hey, doesn't the boss in this area use physical attacks? Yeah, don't do that. He has a specific script thing set up if somebody has invisibility that will remove it. Okay, I think there's treasure upstairs, and then we go back down. I keep forgetting what these guys do and don't counter, but he doesn't counter fight, and then they don't counter tools. Got it. I have no choice. My party's going to be invisible no matter what. Unless somebody actually removes these. Invisibility is good in the sense that you won't get hit as often, but bad in the sense that magical attacks will always hit you. Or at least they're supposed to, although stuff like Vanish Doom no longer exists, so you can't exploit anything like that. And there's a second Switchblade, which I could definitely give to Locke, which would make him even more ludicrously speedy and evasive. The problem is, if I do this, he'll lose the butterfly bonus, so he will no longer do double damage to humans, which I probably will want to change for the boss. Although, him having that much speed makes him a pretty good healer at this point, because he can just use items very quickly, then get his turn back fast. Okay, this could be bad. Unless they decide to attack us. Okay, Mug. Blitz. I forget what they counter other than tools, or other than fight. Magic, maybe? I don't know. I guess I'm about to find out. Okay, not tools. That's good. Is there anything in these? Yeah, there is. Tincture and potion. Those could be handy, because you never know. I could run out of dried meat here pretty soon. Okay, Acid Rain's gonna remove invisibility because it is magical. Which is fine because I actually didn't really want to be invisible for the boss. Oh, Tincture, I think that's a rare steal. Oh, and she does counter Mug. Or else that was just completely random. Oh wait, what am I doing? This is bad. I may have screwed up. Okay. Whatever, I got lucky. See, now I'm down to 30 dried meat from 80, so I have used a bunch. But unfortunately, I don't really have any way to avoid fights at this point. You don't get warp until you have magic. There's a save point, though. They added a number of save points, and also converted certain save points to... you know what, let's try running. These guys do so much damage. Okay, this is kind of stupid. Like, I can't run away until I get fucking pounded up the ass. So what was even the point? I might as well have just fought. Look at that. Nobody even gets away until they get, like, 3 turns. This is stupid. Okay, yeah, see? Everybody just fucking dies. This is absurd. You can't even get away. It's, like, literally worthless to run away in this mod without warp. Yeah, I would rather just have it, like, convert running to a command or something, so that whether you run or don't is just determined by a chance rather than just having to hold down the buttons, because it never freaking works. Okay, we're almost to the boss, and hopefully we won't completely be out of healing items. There's a Hell Claw, which is a claw upgrade for Sabin, but it does fire damage instead of poison. So at this point, I don't actually want to use it. Because Dataluma's not weak to fire, so there's really no point. Okay, now this is an interesting boss. This is like the first real difficulty point. However, there are a few tricks to it. Let's see. First thing I want to do is drill him. And then he murders Cyan without any chance of retaliation. Thanks a lot, dick. I'm going to drill him and suplex him. And then I am never going to be using tools or blitz again for the rest of the fight. Hopefully that slowed him. Now, to finally put those tonics to use, although they only heal slightly more than... I really don't need to do that to save him. Oh, I probably should have done the double butterfly. No, actually, it doesn't matter if I do double butterflies, because... yeah. Okay, so here's his thing. He summons fighters periodically, which... gosh, these guys sure hit awful hard, don't you think? So... oops, that was a mistake. He made it. No, he didn't. Good. So he'll resummon those guys periodically throughout the fight. And then he'll also attack. Now, his gimmick is that he uses a lot of counterattacks based on the special abilities that you use on him. Each of those will increase a counter, and after a certain number of moves, he will retaliate with something. However, there are a couple of quirks to this. First of all, he has to counter specific commands, I guess because the scripting only works like that. They can either generally counter being attacked, or they can counter specific commands or abilities. So there are three abilities, actually, that he does not counter. He doesn't counter magic, which is kind of worthless because you only have Celeste, and if Gao is using magic from rages, that does not count as magic, it counts as rage, and he does have counter to rage. However, he does not counter counterattacks. I don't know if he even can. And he does not counter mug or jump. So Locke can attack without increasing his counterattack problems. And Cyan and Sabin both have counter weapons, which is why I didn't want to get the Nodachi. It doesn't have counter on it. The only problem is I may run out of dried meat, so I could be in a bit of a spot here. There is a way to make this a little easier on you. Oh, huh. Thought he wouldn't do that. So he's gonna jump, kill somebody. Since he's used a thing to get haste and regen, I want to make sure to put slow and sap back on him. That's one of his counterattacks, so if you use a lot of abilities on him, he's gonna do that a bunch. It may be that he actually does counter jump, so that may have been my mistake. I can't quite remember. Anyway, everyone but Locke can counterattack if they're attacked. So with any luck, they'll block attacks and counter, and Sabin can do a lot of damage on a counter. But he still has his pals, so they have to be periodically removed. And you have to do single target attacks to them, because otherwise you might hit him. I also forget how much. Whoa, don't Bioblaster. Just use the drill boy. I'm also trying to be careful here with the targeting because I don't want to cue an attack and then accidentally hit him with it after one of these guys dies, but they have quite a bit of health. Oh, there he goes again. I guess I could have people defend. Okay, that was good, but now I've got to resap him. Unfortunately. I also probably need to slow him again, so I may as well just go all out at this point. I think he's probably close to being dead anyway. I'm not actually sure, I'm not keeping track of his health. But this should kill his allies. Reset slow. This is increasing his counters using these abilities, so he'll probably do something cool here in a bit. I assume one of the counters increases on its own now. The Slim Jim counter increases on its own. But it does slow down the rate of counters, but this time I'm just going to go all out on him. I should probably just be attacking him, now that I think about it, because Fight and Rage are on a separate counter. Yeah, that's another of his counters, Spoon. He'll throw a spoon. But I'm hoping that I can just beat him in the next couple of turns. There he goes again. That's fine, we were just healing anyway. Sabin's in pretty good shape, because... Oh, and he dies anyway. Okay, fine, Luck, you can stay dead. Jesus, how much health does he have? I seem to recall it not being quite this bad. Oh, and he stopped him. That's his special, which it does, I think, a little extra damage and sets stop. But there's a chance of it not working. Alright, fine. Sabin can't really do anything because he's stopped, so... whatever. Well, he should be dead soon, then. The number of times that we've hit him. Oh, he's got his stupid regen again. Okay. That's annoying. Fine, we'll need to drill him. Oh, and Sabin's back. That's bad, because now he'll miss with the drill. Well, that can be useful. Potentially. Yeah. Early in the game, Empowerer is basically going to be a full heal on Cyan. For the most part. For Christ's sakes, dude, just freaking die. At this point, since he's gonna one-shot us with anything anyway, I might as well just keep reviving and then not healing. I don't believe he has any AoEs, so he can only kill one person at a time. Nope, don't want to do that. He ain't shit. Okay, I don't want Cyan blinded. Oh, I used an antidote on him. That'll work! And he's dead. Edgar has his deal with it shades on. Well, less gold for that than... And we're now completely out of that. Isn't that fun? I'm perfect at budgeting my dried meat usage. I used exactly enough. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. And now for the part that we've all been waiting for, actually getting Espers. Meanwhile, Terra is learning the awkward teenage stages of being a half Esper. It's a very special time in a young girl's life when she turns into a naked pink monster and flies across the world. But don't worry, we just need to resolve her daddy issues. Humans who knew about Espers found the Esper world. I don't think it's ever explained how. I guess the Emperor just was reading old books and stuff. I mean, seriously, they must not have hid very well if they got found. Oh yeah, we should probably put Terra back on the bed. Also, that line, regardless of script, is a complete fucking lie. Why can't he just say, no, she's a half-Esper? He's like, oh no, she's something else. Like, dude, just fucking say it. Her mom banged an Esper. We're all adults here. Except possibly Locke. Yeah, I guess maybe he's just really embarrassed about it. He's like, oh god, I hope they don't find out before I turn myself into a crystal. Here are my dead friends! Keeps naked girls in his apartment. Has his dead friends lying around. Yeah, you're not a creep at all, dude. Oh no, guy I knew for 5 minutes. Did you really turn into a magic rock? Free magic rock. Oh, and also he can still talk, I guess. Like, 2 Espers can talk. I guess technically, are those missable in the sense that, like, you could just walk out of here and ignore all of them? I think you have to pick up Ramu, but I don't know about the other 3. I mean, why you wouldn't, I don't know, but it would be really stupid to just leave them there. But the game forced me to manually pick them up, so I don't know if they're missable or not. Thankfully, we leave Zozo in a cutscene, so for some reason all those bloodthirsty dudes are completely oblivious and do not care about me. Yeah, it'd be really awkward if you got to Ifrit and Shiva and it was like, oh, you don't have his power. Well, fuck you then. And then they killed you. Okay, at this point, these 2 are locked into your party. It doesn't actually matter who I take right now because I'm going to be leveling people up, get them Esper levels. So I'll take Gao and I guess Edgar again. I'm not actually necessarily going to take those 2 to the continent to the Imperial continent with me, so I just have them here. Someone in Jador can probably help us, Locke says, on the basis of no evidence whatsoever. Also, a ghost shows up who can tell you about Espers. I think you used to be able to unequip your stuff, but you can just go back to Narsh to do that. He also explains the Esper thing. And then he gets in my way, so I can't leave. Okay, so what do we got here? The usual four. Now, this particular party, I actually may have accidentally put myself in a situation where I can exactly equip an Esper on everyone, because I'm a genius. There are actually 5 Espers available right now, but you have to get the 5th one. Normally you could get Golem at the auction house, but the auction house is closed. You can still get Golem, I believe, right now, but you have to actually go find it. So we'll have to walk all the way back to Jador. Oh, and people are not in any particularly logical rank, and I also probably forgot to put any equipment on those two. So they're probably going to die horribly, because they're in the front row for some reason. Well, they were in the back row for some reason, and then they got back attacked. Regardless, Edgar, please save us. Gal, please save us. Gao's so good at exploding that he no longer explodes himself. When you have Espers equipped, you get spell points and EP for Esper levels. However, because I have experience off and it's based on the amount of experience you gain, that message is as equally irrelevant as the experience messages are. What I'm not sure about is... yeah, you guess don't get spell points either for that. So you have to have experience on to get any benefit from the Espers, other than I guess their equip bonuses, which they still have. So, you know, you got that going for you. That's fine, I don't care, I just wanted to have them equipped for the sake of having them equipped. I will actually be using them to level up in a bit, but until then... what I'll need to do, though, is I'll need to decide who's coming. Obviously, Locke and Celeste are locked in, they can't leave, they can't be replaced. Shadow doesn't have any Espers that he has access to at this point anyway, so even if you waited to recruit him, it's pointless, you can't give him any Esper levels. Because he doesn't have anything to equip yet. I would almost certainly not bring Gao. Not because I don't love Gao, Gao is awesome, but there are a number of fights in the Magitech Research Facility where you really don't want an uncontrollable character in most cases. It's not like a game ender by any means, it's just not really great. Also, he gains, I guess, arguably the least benefit from just having stuff. But, I guess we'll find out. I'll have to vet everybody. I will probably want one of Gao or Sabin along in order to cast... this inn's probably a ripoff. Yeah. That's the problem with staying in the nice part of town. Have a lot of money, but I need to save most of it. Need to pay another $250. They can always get more poor people, dude. That's the thing about the poor people, you know? There's enough of them to fill an entire encounter table forever. You'd run out of rich people eventually. It'd be like Lightning Returns. The last one of them would be hot pink, and you'd murder them, and then it'd be like, congratulations, the workers' paradise has been achieved. So this is a guy who wants to build the Colosseum. I think you could get like something like really good, like a hero ring in there originally, not like in the original game or something, but that's not the case now. So he wants us to give him money to help him build his Colosseum, which actually makes sense since that's exactly what he says when you talk to him in vanilla. He wants people to fund his dream. But this time you actually get something for it, which is Golem there, which is for Edgar and Sabin. This is an extremely good one for their Vigor builds. It gives them Vigor and health. 20 health per Esper level is actually kind of a bad exchange rate, relatively speaking. For example, Locke and Cyan can get 30 per level, but they get stamina with it. So it's kind of hard to get both Vigor and health at the same time. So it can be very good for Sabin, who already has pretty high health, so he's not going to miss losing 10 per EL. Edgar can get extra from a later Esper that gives him 30, but it gives him stamina, which doesn't really help any of his abilities. So it's just kind of a thing. For other characters, well, other characters don't have access to it, so it's a reasonable trade-off for the brothers, because you never know, you might need it. Yeah! Killed them with their bare hands. I should probably at some point put equipment on them, but whatever. One thing I'm actually not sure about is when Locke or anybody who can use daggers uses a switchblade, that still counts as a fight attack, right? It doesn't count as Mug? I'm actually curious about that, I don't know. Hey, what's up? Dogs hate Gao. That's not a joke, that's like a legit thing. They will priority target Gao. Yeah, it's a mod. You can tell because I'm actually getting hurt. Actually, in kind of a bad spot here, because I do not have any dried meat. So, I just have to hope I get to the castle. Alright. Since I conveniently did not bring Sabin, I don't have to sit through the cutscene if I go to rest. Haha! I planned for it all. Not really. I maybe should buy something here. The link should appear on the Twitch, or the chat log. I don't know why. I may have had it set up to block links, I'm not sure. Anyway. Once you get to this point in the game, it only costs about 5,000 gold to get 99 dry meat, so pretty much gonna always be buying that whenever I have the option to. Because I bought Golem, so that was a major outlay. Yeah, too bad I don't have any other Shakespeare quotes that are appropriate for this mod. Well, maybe not, actually, now that I think about it. Why am I going over here? I have absolutely no reason to do that. I also have absolutely no reason to leave. I'm insane. If it were Final Fantasy IX, you could do, is this a dagger I see before me? Which literally no one ever names her that, because that's a fucking stupid name. And also, I have a thing in RPGs where if a character is ever using an alias, I often like to rename them by their real name. I forgot to actually name Shadow Clyde, though. But if you give half the cast a Chrono Trigger is using an alias, you can just give them their real names, and then everyone's an idiot. Now these enemies outside the initial areas, I believe their scripts are set up where if you're over a certain level, they'll use actual attacks against you. So, like, they wouldn't kill you with Sandstorm right at the beginning of the game, because you're, like, level 1. And it would literally just murder Terra unlock instantly. Yeah, I've forgotten repeatedly. At this point, it's just willful ignorance at this point. Okay, these guys can use Break, yeah, which is defense-ignoring wind attack. Fortunately, their spellcasting stats are not super awesome. Whatever, I'm almost there. Now, the EP and spell points are from the way the mod system handles things. I've got experience turned off, which is another thing the mod lets you do. So I will be turning it back on soon, but you can now buy spells with spell points, but you only earn spell points, I think, if you have experience on, which I actually don't like. I don't mind that you don't get EP, I guess, because that would be broken if you could just turn experience off and get EP, but not getting spell points kind of sucks. However, you can get spell points without earning experience on the belt, so whatever. You can just turn XP on the belt, and then you get money and, I think, spell points, but no experience. So that's a way. Now, I'm walking all the way back here, in part because I want to change up the party, in part because what I've been doing is I've gotten to level 10 and then stopped, turned experience off, in part for the challenge, but in part also because I want to try to maximize my EL gain, and since the amount of EP you gain is a factor of the amount of XP you gain, I want as little experience gained as possible, although I thought staying under level 10 would be stupid, because you're incredibly weak before level 10, and it's not that hard to get to level 10, so I just got to level 10 and stopped. Now, I'm going to find a party to take to the Imperial Continent. I'm going to level them to 15 and to whatever EL they can get from that, and then stop. Everybody else I'm going to leave at level 10, so that Setzer comes in at a slightly lower level, just so that he can get a little bit more Esper experience before he hits a cap, too. Other than that, I'm not really sure, but so whoever I end up deciding to take, which I haven't figured that out yet, but these two will obviously have to level up. I'm probably going to take Cyan, because this is a point in the game where he's extremely strong. You're still fighting a lot of human enemies. He has access to an early Esper that gives him health, which is basically, instead of, in the original Final Fantasy VI, like, the Espers that gave you health gave it in some weird way where it was like a factor of how much HP you were gaining per level or something. And it was really stupid. So it was like, you had no idea of knowing how much HP you were going to gain on a level up unless you like looked it up, let alone how much extra the Esper was going to give you. So it was kind of stupid. Plus, everybody would level up so much they would probably get close to max health anyway. The way it works in Brave New World is it's fixed. So every Esper level that you spend on Kirin for Locke, he gets 30 HP and 1 stamina. So at a lower level, HP is worth a lot more. Now, that's not to say it's not worth anything at high levels, because the health curve is a lot lower in this mod. You'll be lucky to have like 1,000 health at the soft cap for experience, so having an extra 300 to 600 health can be quite impressive, so there's definitely no reason not to take that. But at a low level, someone like Cyan gaining, I don't know, like 10 Esper Levels is gaining 300 HP, which between 10 and 15, I'm not sure how much actual health he gets. Let me take a look at the experience table here. Yeah, you have a base of 140 HP at 10, and at 15 it's 270. So you're gaining 130 health, so he would be like basically around 400 if he had no ELs. But if he gains like 5 Kirin levels, then he's at like 550. If he gains 10, then he's at like 700, which is insane for only level 15. So he has access to an early HP Esper. He's really good, and he's just a very solid choice to take. He's good against almost everything. He doesn't have a lot of elemental exploitation, and not a lot of multi-targeting. He does get multi-targets, but the only thing I think he can multi-target is like Demi or something, if he can even multi-target that. Yeah, Demi's single target, so no, he can't even multi-target that. So characters like Sabin, who would get Fire Dance, he can be very useful, so I might take Cyan and Sabin. And even though it's not bad to take Edgar either, Edgar has some viability. He can use Jump. He gets a couple Elemental Lances. Well, at least one Elemental Lance is very useful. So he could do Jump there. So he's not a bad choice either. Gao is honestly not a terrible choice. One of the reasons I don't want to take him, besides the fact that he's uncontrollable, is that the patch I'm using for Rages, he basically learns the Rage as soon as he sees a formation, so that would kind of put him ahead of where he's supposed to be on his power curve if I took him to the Magitech facility, because that's where the next group of rageable enemies is. So he would like learn those Rages instantly, and I think that would probably make him too strong, because there's a number of good healing Rages that he's not supposed to have at that point, so I'm just going to leave him here until after that, so that when I get the airship, he can basically learn all the Rages that he would have known anyway. And after that, there's not a pretty significant difference. So I'll probably just leave him, even though I love him, and he's one of my favorite characters. He doesn't get a lot of benefit from Esper Levels yet. All he can raise is Stamina, which only affects 1 or 2 of his Rages. Just not really a great choice. Sabin is good, because he can get Vigor and HP. Vigor's not that useful at low levels, because the amount of damage you're getting per point of Vigor is multiplied by your level in some capacity in the formula. So you're not getting as much value out of him, but you are getting a lot, and he still has his claws, so he can hit undead, he can hit humans with poison, so he's still pretty handy. And he also, I think, gets access to water element claws, which are useful against machines, and there are a lot of machines in the Magitech facility. So Cyan and Sabin would probably be the best choice. Sabin also gets access to warp for running away from battles, and a few other things like slow. Cyan gets healing. Locke also gets healing. Celeste already has healing, so that's a pretty solid party for healing. And then these two will also get more magic damage. They'll learn Bolt, Bolt 2. Whether they'll have the MP to cast it is another matter, because at level 15, only Celeste is really going to have any appreciable amount of MP. But it's nice. So probably it will be Cyan, Sabin, Locke, and Celeste. We'll see. Edgar could work his way in there, because he always can. The other reason that I might consider Edgar is that I'm thinking of taking him with a magic build, which he can start immediately with Siren. Technically, he can start a Vigor build with Golem as well, but Siren would make him a lot faster early on, and he could spam the Bioblaster a lot, but I'm not totally sold on it. His AoE damage doesn't really get really good with this build until he gets the Flash, which I think is in the World of Ruin now. So questionable, and also he doesn't get a lot of his good utility stuff like his healing until after the Magitech facility, when you get all the Espers there. Then he gets another one that gives him healing and stuff. So he is useful. By no means is he not useless, or by no means is he useless. In fact, I believe that Siren now gives him haste. Yeah, so this is a potential reason to take him. Slow is good, mute is decent, but haste is a really powerful buff. Of course, Celeste can learn it too, so you would have a haster, but Celeste won't be in the party the whole time, so there is some benefit to that. And then Sabin can learn from Stray. First of all, Sabin has 2 Espers, so that's cool because he can learn multiple spells. Imp is decent, Warp is good for avoiding battles, Float is probably not going to be that handy, but it could be. Stop and Safe. Safe is a buff to physical damage. Stop has occasional uses. And the thing with Sabin is, he mostly just has utility spells, but he's not spending his MP on anything anyway, so these spells tend to be pretty cheap. So even though he has terrible MP, it's like not really a huge liability. So he can cast his spells, and it's like, you know, he's not going to need the spells for offense. He's going to have his blitz and his attacks, so he really doesn't care. Even if you give him a stamina build, he doesn't have any like stamina-based spells or anything, so it's not like he would be casting with that build. So in almost all circumstances, his MP is best used on utility stuff anyway, so this stuff is not stuff that we would cast a ton, but it's handy. But we will need to get SP for that, which means that they would need to gain some levels. So whoever I take will end up going to level 15 and whatever EL I can get. My plan is to grind on the most EL efficient... Oh, I guess they put Lock and Celeste in random, completely locked spots here. But like if I were to take this group, what I would do is take them to the Serpent Trench, which is tedious, but you can basically go through the trench, get a Chocobo and Nikea, jump over the falls, walk across the Veld, do that over and over again. The reason why you would do that, even though it is tedious, is that you get 5 SP per level, or 5 SP per fight, and the amount of EP you get is multiplied and then also divided in some by 8 or something, but the amount of EP you get is basically the amount of XP you get divided by 8 times the spell points or something. I can't remember the exact formula. So basically, the more spell points you get in an individual fight, regardless of how many enemies there are, the more EP you gain relative to the amount of XP you gain. So they will level up, but they will level up relatively more slowly compared to how much their ELs are going up. So my hope is they'll get to about 15 and then like 9 or 10 EL, which is a huge advantage, especially for Cyan, because like I said, 10 Kieran levels, which I intend to give him, is 300 health. That's huge. That's like, at this stage in the game, that's like taking an entire hit or 2. And since he has Empowerer, he will basically never die, so that's nice. Stamina also gives him defensive bonuses and would help him if I gave him the life bell for regen or something. In fact, I better just unequip everybody, which, before I don't think you could do this. I think the mod made Arvis an unequipped guy. Gao, get the fuck out of the way. Yeah, so Arvis is an unequipped guy. So I'll unequip everybody. Now, I will probably also want some money. I got a ton of it now, and I'm pretty much done with major expenses, but I'll probably want to buy more ninja gear, especially if I take Sabin, and some other things. More dried meat. I may want to get Red Bulls. I may try to steal Slim Jims. They're a rare... The item that Dataluma used, that's not an attack, that's an actual item, which grants... it's like a dried meat, but it also gives regen and haste, which is incredibly important. We can get haste through spellcasting, but it's kind of hard to get regen, and it's really nice to have them both on one item. So I might want some of those to snap into, which they can be stolen on Mount Colts, or I guess in Zozo, from any of the brawler-type enemies, the martial artist-looking guys. They are a rare steal, though, so that's going to take time. There's other stuff in Zozo that I want to steal, items that I didn't get, rare steals from the giant guy, a couple of other things. So I am going to be stopping here just because I don't want to stream all of that. That's boring, especially going through the Serpent Trench a bunch. I'm insane enough to do that, but not insane enough to like make other people sit through it. So we will be getting that done. And once I've decided on the final party, they'll get to 15 and whatever Esper levels I can get them. And we will, for the first time in like 6 hours of gameplay, actually be gaining more levels. Well, 5 hours according to the clock, but once that's done, we will have a very different party just in terms of their appearance and how strong they are. Because right now everybody's in like the 200 to 300 health range. That will go up a little bit, and for certain characters it will be going up a lot. And some of my decisions will seem kind of crazy, but there are long-term rationale behind some of these. For Sabin, his build I've pretty much set on, and he pretty much only needs one Esper anyway. I'm probably just going to go Vigor with him, just give him Golem, and he'll take Golem pretty much the entire time, just leveling up his health and Vigor. He can't gain any more Vigor than that per level. Some characters can get up to 2 per level, like Cyan can, which is one of the reasons why he's just an insanely strong attacker. However, I'm probably going to go with the Stamina build for Cyan, at least for the World of Balance. He does get his Vigor Esper in their Magitech Research Facility. The problem is he doesn't gain any HP other than Kieran, which is more of his Stamina build thing. You can give him Kieran and some of his Vigor Esper, but I just don't see myself doing that, really. So what I will probably do instead is just give him a Stamina build and either keep him on the Stamina build, or in the World of Ruin you have the ability to reset certain characters' Esper levels. It costs money, but the first 4 characters that you reset are kind of cheap, so I'm probably going to be doing something with that in mind, notably for Locke, because Locke gets a number of Espers in the World of Ruin, well, 1 Esper especially, that changes a lot about how he can be played, but you're not going to get that till the World of Ruin, and I want him to be more survivable, so I will probably end up giving Locke some Kieran ELs, which is normally not something I would ever do, but at this point it just makes sense to do it, because health is worth so much at this point. It's actually probably worth more than Vigor. Even though Locke can get 2 Vigor, which is insane given his speed, I'm not totally sold on it at low levels, because the level part of the damage formula kind of takes a lot of the teeth out of Vigor. Once you get into like the mid-20s towards the 30s, points in Vigor become a lot more important, because they will do a lot more damage, but I'm not going to be there until the World of Ruin anyway, and I need to use Locke because he's mandatory in this part, he's mandatory on Crescent Island, so I want him to not die to a stiff breeze. As for Celeste, I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do with her yet. She has so many builds, because Terra and Celeste get more Espers than anybody else. Like, in the first group of 4 Espers, she has 2 of them. So that trend sort of continues where they have more Espers than everybody else, which means they have a lot more options for their builds. Like, she gets +2 Vigor, or she gets +1 Magic, +1 Speed. And you really don't want to mix these two, at least. So the question becomes, what's she going to build? Is she even going to use either of these two? Because there are other options that she has. But I'll have to think about that. I may even just give her empty ELs and just have her sit on them. But I'm not totally sure about that either. But Cyan, Sabin, and Locke are pretty solid. So if I were going to bring them, which it seems like it would be sensible to do, I'd probably have their builds figured out. So we'll go from there once we actually get around to that. But for now, I'm going to stop just because I don't want to subject everybody to my grinding. And this will take a while, so it may be a couple of days before I start again. So that'll be it for now. But I may come back on later tonight with a different game, we'll see. But I'm going to do a little bit of grinding and stuff now, so we'll go from there. See y'all around.